Hi, everyone. I'm Maya Norwood. Welcome to our Connections That Count platform.
And I'm Jackie St. Peter, and this is our networking tip of the week. So, what's our tip this week, Maya?
Well, today I thought I'd talk just a little bit about goals, or that we should talk a little bit about goals. And I think we talk about goals in business a lot, but we don't often talk about setting networking goals so that we are very intentional when we go to networking meetings. So, I will give you just a quick example of what I mean. A lot of times when you say, "Hey, do you have any goals for networking?" People say, "Yeah, I'd like to get some referrals." "Oh, do you have a number?" "Sure, 5." Or like they arbitrarily come up with some number. But there's a systematic way that you can do it to actually make sure you're going to hit your goals. Because if you've ever studied goals, you understand that they have to be specific and they have to be in a certain time period. Otherwise, you're probably not going to have them happen. So, one thing that I like to coach people on doing is think about your product or service and think about how much money you make with that said product or service. And then think about what your closing ratio is when you talk to people for that product or service. And take those two numbers and figure out how many referrals you need. So I'll give you a practical example. When I was a photographer, let's just say that I wanted to make $10,000 a year in senior sessions. Okay, so if my average senior session is $500, I would need 20 referrals, like 20 referrals at close, right, to make that. But if my closing ratio is only 50%, now I'm needing 40 referrals to do that. So now that I know that, I can actually go in and talk to people and track to make sure I'm actually going to hit these goals, right? So we don't always often take the time we need to really dive into how to make those goals and make them effective. But when we do, we more often will actually be able to hit those goals.
Yeah, those are great tips. I think a lot of people go into networking meetings without any goals.
Mm-hmm.
They just want to get referrals and get as many as possible, and make their time worth it. And I think if they realize that, time is probably our biggest
Yep.
expense, right? We talk about expenditures. Time is huge, and if you use your time wisely, you can get what you need out of your networking groups. And I think if you're in a consistent networking group, or going to meetings and stuff, and you look at those numbers and you figure out, well, how many do I need per month or per year or whatever it is, and then you choose to talk about certain things in those meetings, that where um those goals can add up, because you're specific about the referrals you're looking for. You're not just looking for anyone who can, right? You're looking about for a resource that's going to give you. I often think about the wedding planner who is looking for anyone getting married. But if or the florist who's looking for anyone getting married for wedding flowers. But if they actually look to talk to and ask for wedding planners, that opens the door to so many more brides, right? So I think if you get intentional with your goals and you go to those meetings with those goals in mind, like you said, to be specific and make sure that you're measuring them, your networking group will pay off in a lot bigger way for you.
And I just think you're going to want to go, right? If you're starting to
Yeah.
see yourself accomplishing the goals and your team being your fellow members at your intentional networking meetings, they're going to be excited to watch you meet your goals, right? So it can become this new energy that it gives you by having and setting those goals.
Yep. Well, I think that's a great tip for this week, and we hope you enjoyed our tip of the week. And if you have something you want to hear about, please feel free to put it in the comments and ask us about it. Or if you have something you want to contribute, we would be happy to have you on here to talk about your networking tips.
Absolutely. Thank you all for listening, and we hope you have a great week.
Have a great day.